What's going on, everyone? So, been a lot of reports for the Lakers continuing to look and upgrade the roster. You have them looking at consolidation trades, various trades in general. Kind of seems to be like Matisse Thybulle, Robert Williams seem to be the most likely candidates. Andrew Wiggins still kind of out there in the ether. But you have also a lot of just free agents that are available that are still linked to the Lakers. Nikola Vucevic is kind of the big name kind of going around and heavily linked. Now, whether they buy him out during the offseason to where the Lakers can sign him and bring him in now, or they can buy him out during or post-trade deadline, we'll see. We'll see how that all plays out. But, you look at all the kind of noise and whatnot, and again, it's all speculation. Everything's speculation until it actually gets done, until you actually get that news that, like, hey, Lakers have done X, Y, and Z, or signed X, Y, and Z, or done whatever. But with the Lakers and them monitoring and keeping an eye on all these various potential buyout candidates and stuff, they don't have a way to sign them, right? So it's like, how is that going to get done? Unless they know that they're about to do a trade, or they know that they can do a trade if need be, right? So, for example, right, it is very possible that the Lakers know that they're close to maybe a Matisse Thybulle and Robert Williams trade, and they're going to have to pony up 3 or 4 guys in order to get that done, because you're talking about $25 million roughly in salary that you need to send out, right? So you're talking, it can't just be Rui and Dalton Connect. It'd have to be Rui, Dalton Connect, and a, Maxi Kleber, or, a Gabe Vincent, Maxi Kleber, and a Dalton Connect, something like that. And it's just those plus whatever else you're giving up, right? There is the potential that ends up being a thing, and the Lakers already know about it, free up an extra $1.5 million, and they're like, hey, we're going to need to open up cap space. So the Lakers, if they're close or feel like they're close in a trade, then it would make sense that we're monitoring and keeping an eye on this guy or that guy for potential buyouts, especially with guys like the Anthony Melton and Al Horford reportedly kind of waiting on the Jonathan Kuminga thing, right? Like, once Jonathan Kuminga's done, set up, Gary Payton, Al Horford, and a DeAnthony Melton are expected to go and sign with the Warriors. However, if you pull off the Matisse Thybulle trade or whatever, right, just using them as an example, pull off that trade, well, now if you're the Lakers, you can go to them and be like, hey, we can very likely, add you. We could, bring you on, have you be a part of this team, or you could still wait and see what happens. And what happens if it doesn't work out? What if it doesn't happen, right? What if they pull off a trade and they have too many guys on the roster or whatever, right? Like, there's a million things that could happen. So, it's kind of one of those things where, Lakers, if they're close and they know a trade is bound to get done or close to get done, which they would know, right? Then that could be one option. The other kind of side of that would be, if they know of a team that would be willing to work with them, take on salary. Team like Washington, for example, or the Nets, right? Because Lakers do have expiring contracts, right? So let's say Nikola Vucevic gets bought out 2 weeks from now, right? Well, if the Lakers know, hey, Washington's willing to take on, Gabe Vincent for a second and a pick swap, right? They'll just take him on for us, right? Then perfect. Keep that on standby, right? It would be nice to kind of have that one in the chamber if you already know, right? Like, working out. Because, again, Lakers, there was a lot of reports that the Lakers are looking for a consolidation trade, right? Who's to say they haven't found it, right? Who's to say they haven't already worked that out, right? Like, you're not going to do the consolidation trade unless it makes sense to do it. You're not going to do the consolidation trade unless you know somebody is coming. Lakers didn't need to do the consolidation trade to land Marcus Smart because they were able to just get off of Jordan Goodwin and Shake Milton, right? So they were able to bring them in or get them off and bring in a Marcus Smart, right? So boom, easy peasy, right? So why do the consolidation trade? Why give up assets if I don't need to? Right? Continue to be patient until it's warranted and justified. Now, 2 weeks from now, Nikola Vucevic ends up getting bought out and he wants to sign with the Lakers. Well, now the Lakers know, hey, Washington, remember that deal we agreed on? We're ready to do it. Let's get it done. Now, you could worry about today's price, but something like that is not something that is going to really change, right? Like, hey, like, we're just a consolidation trade, and they're getting a guy that they can trade and get to, like, it's not a desire. They're not trading a desired player where it's like, hey, hey, this team over here is offering us this. So yeah, sorry, we're not going to trade him to you. It's not that situation. So point is like it is in the Lakers' best interest to be patient, continue to let things and evaluate and figure out like what kind of trades, what kind of options are as we inch closer to training camp, right? What if Andrew Wiggins becomes available, right? What if Miami, what if, Sacramento ends up landing Jonathan Kuminga and they end up trading DeMar DeRozan to Miami, and Miami's like, all right, fine, call the Lakers. Let's look to move off Andrew Wiggins. Right? Well, now you could pull off that trade, make that move, and get off of 2 or 3 guys, clear the salary needed, and now you're bringing in whoever you need, or you're bringing in worst case scenario, you're bringing in like an Amir Coffey or something like that. Right? Like it's in the Lakers' best interest to let things develop, continue to do due diligence. Like I said, we're 2 months still from training camp. Right? So there's still a lot of time, a lot of things that can develop. As we inch closer to training camp, you're going to hear more and more names become available. You're going to be hearing more, just not only trades, but buyout options as well. You're going to hear about this guy and that guy potentially be bought out. And then once we get to training camp, and even after training camp, you're going to have a bunch of guys that are going to end up getting waived and bought out that Lakers could bring into a roster spot or, two-way spot or whatever. Plus, they have their guys competing on their camp. Like, what if, like, forget all the names on the buyout list right now. What if Eric Dixon is just amazing, right? And, Arthur Kaluma is as well, right? But like Eric Dixon looks NBA ready, where Arthur Kaluma, it's like, man, we need him for a year or two. Like, do you want to lose one or the other? Because that's what you'd have to do, because if the word gets out, they're like, hey, Arthur Kaluma is killing it for Lakers in training camp, which it will get out, right? And the Lakers go and sign Eric Dixon, and guess what teams are going to do? They're going to be calling up Arthur Kaluma and going like, hey, come to our team, right? Well, okay, how do you solve that? You pull off a consolidation trade and you bring in Eric Dixon, or you bring in Arthur Kaluma, probably be Eric Dixon, and then sign Kaluma to the two-way spot. Or, you waive Christian Coloco, which I don't think that they would do. But the point is like, it might not even be something that necessarily is the buyout candidates or anything like that. I'm just saying, like, you have a lot of smoke on Lakers working on various trades. We've had several people. I mean, Brett Siegel even said, like, this Lakers roster is not going to be the roster that starts the season. Now, granted, you could argue it already came to be because they got off of Shake Milton, but we've had 3 or 4 people be like, no, Lakers are like very active in trade talks and are trying to improve and upgrade this roster to the best of their ability. Luka Doncic recently said that he wants to win now. Or to be fair, his camp said, like, we should be clear about that, right? Like, Luka didn't come out and be like, yeah, trade everybody. But Luka wants LeBron to stay and retire a Laker, and he wants to win now. Right? Those are kind of the 2 major keynotes in that regard. Okay, well, guess what? Lakers, they've been doing everything already to appease Luka and talk to Luka about doing X, Y. Like, every move that they've made, they've funneled through Luka. Right? So if Luka has relayed to them, like, hey, man, I want to win now. Like, I don't want to build this out over 2-3 years. Like, if you can make a trade, you can make a move. Right? I'm sure Luka understands, like, no trade is better than a bad trade. I'm sure Luka understands, like, hey, we don't want to do anything that's going to hurt us or set us back here. But if you can find that move, you can find that trade that makes sense, get that done, make that happen, and let's go. So, of course, Lakers would continue to be active. Plus, it's just part of doing your job, right? If you're Rob Pelinka, you should always be on the phone, leaving no stone unturned. You call about everybody. There's 423 players in the league or whatever it is. Like, you should be calling about all of them, right? Like, because that's what your job is. See what guys can we get this? Can we get that? Right? Like, hey, I haven't talked to you about Andrew Wiggins in a while. What's up with that? You be patient. You kind of let things develop. Today's price isn't tomorrow's price, right? So, and that goes both ways, right? Like, you hear a lot about that when it's like, hey, you want this guy. Well, yesterday was this, today it's this, but that also sometimes goes the other way. Teams, look at Nikola Vucevic. Teams like the Lakers even were willing to pony up a second or a couple seconds to go land him a couple years ago, or even as recent as the last trade deadline. And guess what? Chicago was like, nah. Well, now look at Chicago. Now Chicago might have to just buy out Nikola Vucevic. And it's like, when you could have gotten something for him. But instead, you chose to not do that. And now look, right? So again, yesterday's price is not today's price. And sometimes that's in a negative way, right? Like Dalton Connect, when Dalton Connect dropped nearly 40, you don't think his price was a lot higher than it was right now? You don't think teams were probably calling and on the phone going like, hey man, what do you think? Like, of course, his price then was a lot more, it was, would have gotten you a much favorable return than it is right now, where it looks like he's a completely different player, completely checked out and struggling. Like, that's very big differences. So Lakers, again, just got to continue to be patient, continue to stay the course, let things unfold, let things develop, and see where we're at in, a month or so. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, pass question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. That being said, if you like this video, hit that like button. Helps me out. So we enjoy these types of videos. I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribe button, turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one.